Hello, everyone. I do believe that I'm going live right now. Hopefully, I'm not wasting my time. I want to talk a bit about the whole Trump. Of course, I'm going to talk about the Trump Greenland. Honestly, there's so many different facets to it that, yeah, it could be the Nobel Peace Prize. I mean, it's so stupid. If that's true, which it is, I mean, they released the text from it. But I mean, is it true that that's what made Trump do that? Or rather, maybe that's how he's justifying his decision to do that based on his alliance, secret alliance with Putin. That makes a lot of sense because now you take away Europe's focus from the Ukraine and you put it towards this idiotic, stupid Greenland thing. We have big problems in this country. Let me tell you, huge problems. All over the world, really, but this country right now is an embarrassment. And I knew this would happen. I knew this would happen before even the first time he got elected. He was funny in the primaries 2014-15. Then, but I already knew, like, this guy's an idiot. He's a joker. He's funny when he's insulting people, but I never supported him. So he won that. And of course, back then he had people in his cabinet who talked him down from the ledge. Like, listen, this is not the right way to go, blah, blah, blah. But this time they had Project 2025. They had a whole mission statement of getting everybody who's going to become a yes man in that White House stuffed in there, so that they're going to encourage him no matter what it is, how stupid it is. They're going to say, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Donald J. Trump. You know, he likes that J part. Jackass. That's what that's what it should have been. Yeah, that's just shameful. I thought we were proud to be of European descent. I don't like what Europe has become in many ways, but that's besides the point. Now there should be a solidarity of NATO against the aggressions of Russia. Let's try out military equipment, new military equipment in the Ukraine. Let's make them punished like they did to us in Vietnam. You know, that's what they did in Vietnam. They supported the Vietnam was a stupid war as well, but they supported the Viet Cong with weapons and funds and all this in order to make the United States pay to bleed. So then on the flip side, we did the same with Soviet Union when they invaded Afghanistan in the 80s. We sent the Al-Qaeda, Mujahideen, whatever the fuck, to we sent them weapons and funds and all that, and then they, were bleeding from that. We should be doing the same in the Ukraine. We should be making Russia pay. They have what, over 1 million casualties so far. They're burning so much cash on that war. Let's keep the pressure on and try out new military tech. Of course, we need to eradicate the military-industrial complex because that's a cancer in this country. But we might, for the time being, we might as well use it to our advantage. Now, unfortunately, we have a traitor. We have a traitor in the White House, so therefore, that's not going to happen. Trump gives him little pats on the head. Putin gives him little pats on the head like a good lapdog. You're doing a good job, buddy. All you want is peace. And look at Europe dividing you. They should have gave you the Nobel Peace Prize and this and that. That is just so pathetic. So pathetic. How even this, what was her name? Machado from Venezuela, the opposition leader, went over there to present him with the Nobel Peace Prize. Maria Corina Machado, just so he can help her to legitimize her election win back before Maduro basically didn't step down. So now Maduro's second in command is in there. That's why I know a lot of people. I don't know a lot of people, but I know some people who are part of my family and who are intermingled with Venezuelans in exile who are happy what Trump did. Yeah, we got Maduro out, you know. But I tell them, listen, Maduro's still there. He's not there physically, but his regime is there. His second in command, whatever her stupid face is, Lucy Rodriguez or some shit, I don't know. It don't really matter. Doesn't really matter. It's just a little banana republic that happens to have struck oil, basically. So, you know, that's just not going to. I don't think he's going to help her at all, Machado. Because he doesn't care about democracy. He doesn't care about elections. He doesn't care about like anything but power, strength, resources, wealth. That's all he cares about. He's very small-minded. That's why I never supported him, because I knew I have a great ability to look into a person and I see who they are. I don't know if that's a superpower, but it's always been confirmed true. So, well, what's gonna happen here? You know, I don't know. We're talking about Venezuela right now. You know, Lucy or whatever. What's her name? Can we find her name here? The second in command, who now is president of Venezuela. Can we find it? So I really don't know it. I knew it, but I forgot it. That's how insignificant it is for me. Let me see here. I'm surprised they didn't mention it in this. Let me see. Venezuela current president. Now, who is the current president now? Now you got an interim. It's gonna be Delcy. There we go. Delcy Rodriguez. Look at that stupid face, huh? Kind of reminds me of, you know, she'd be wearing a red hat right now if she could. You know, a total piece of crap. Who is just useless, really, for the global peace and prosperity of the world. Just a placeholder. United Socialist Party of Venezuela. Like, really? Maybe United Stupid Party of Venezuela. Because they can't even drill their own oil. That's why they had to make Chevron stay there. Well, Chevron agreed. In order to take advantage of their connections around the world. To get parts. In order to what? Just squander the money? Build palaces? Horrible. Useless. Totally useless people. But what can we say, huh? Hopefully I'm still streaming, aren't I? Let me check YouTube. I should be. I really should be. Am I streaming? I am actually. I am streaming. Hopefully I'm still streaming, aren't I? Let me check YouTube. I'm watching my own stream here. I'm the only viewer. I should be.
It's interesting.
I really should be. I look kind of cool.
Am I streaming?
My hair. Anyways, I think somebody.
I am
joined.
actually. I am.
Thank you
streaming.
for
I'm still
watching my
streaming.
stream. I appreciate it.
Let me get off my own stream here because
it's confusing. So, U.S. President Donald Trump holds White House briefing. This should create a bunch of headlines. This is what he loves. He loves to create these news clips. I guess just sit down and while he's eating McDonald's burger, squirting the ketchup on the wall, and just enjoy his moon face up on the big screen. So we can talk about a lot of things. There's so much to talk about, actually. We have ICE in Minnesota. Like they took funding away from food programs and helpful programs and put it towards hiring more ICE officials. ICE, baby. Well, it's so stupid because it's not a policy. It's just a target on one city. A targeted campaign on one city that's created so much backlash and so much animosity and spending. Just wasteful spending all around for nothing. If you want to get something truly done, if you care about more than just tossing red meat to your base, to people who enjoy things on fire. There's a lot of people who love this torment, this destruction. They love it. That's why they love Trump. Because I know how they think. Because I used to sort of understand that frame of view where they enjoy his chaotic actions who results in people dead and bombs and missiles and strikes and just destruction. You know why? Because they hate their own lives. They're so unhappy and unsatisfied in their own lives that all they can feel is hatred for the world. That's who a lot of people who support Trump, that's how they think. They just want to watch it burn. Now, they don't know that they're going to pay a huge price after the fact. Like when Europe cuts off trade altogether, limits access to their economy, Europe is going to suffer huge. But the United States is that's their largest trading partner. And I don't know how they consider themselves Republican when Trump is just parading around. Let's raise tariffs 10%, 20%, 100%. Don't they know that those are taxes that Americans pay for? I used to be a Republican. I was actually a Ron Paul Republican way long time ago. And I'm just so surprised that they are supportive of so much big government spending. It's amazing because, those ICE agents aren't free. They don't come cheap. Wouldn't it be better to create a policy that puts people to work, access to training, to become a productive member of society, to really secure the country, to create great alliances and trade deals that's the thing with trade deals. Like, why do you have to get in the way of one person and another making a deal across national borders? It doesn't make sense to me, but I understand the desire to try to get the best deal that you can. All right, so I don't know if I want to click on this, honestly.
10,000 criminals, and these are serious criminals. Now, how can a place with 10,000 criminals, how can you have a state? And yet they're fighting us. I like that guy, keeps nodding to me. You agree with me, I guess. I like him. I don't know who he is, but I like him. He keeps nodding. He says, "You're right."
Yeah, he's so narcissistic. Do you really want a narcissist as your leader? Did you know the Roman Empire? They had what's his name, Commodus or whatever. How did it work for the Roman Empire? He was a huge narcissist. Huge. All he cared about was himself.
He's obviously a little on the right side, maybe.
So we're gonna.
Look.
Oh, so they might actually send troops to Minnesota. That's the thing. So ridiculous. So ridiculous. It's nothing. What are you gonna do? You're gonna do the same thing to all the different cities out there? There's bigger cities in Minnesota. Much bigger. What are you gonna do? You're gonna go to New York and do the same thing? You're going to need millions and millions of ICE agents out there. And you're just going to destroy and pillage the economy along the way. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. What makes more sense is to do it without so much friction. So yeah, if people are here when they shouldn't be here, they get it removed. You automate it. However, do Americans want to pick strawberries? Do we want to pick cotton or whatever it is? Well, it's better to automate that kind of stuff, but do Americans want to do that, really? And if they do it, you know about prices at the grocery store. Maybe $15 a pound for strawberries, for example. Yeah, we should definitely automate a lot of stuff. But it's just, all this is just theater. That's all it is, right? This is just theater to show they're profiting on the misery and suffering of poor people just so they can look good on Fox News. That's how evil it is. That's how pathetic it is. It doesn't solve anybody's problem. Actually, it creates more problems than it solves. It continues the flood of spending. You got to pay all these ICE agents. You have to put them up in hotels. You have to constantly battle with these cities and local governments. And people people can't work in this situation here. People cannot go to work in these cities when you have all this stuff happening. Like it's unbelievable. It's just so destructive but you know who loves it? People who love it are those who want the world to burn down. They are very hateful people. And I understand it too, because the world is not what it should be right now. The world is a piece of shit right now. However, having a narcissist run rampant is not the solution to America or the world's problems. It's just not. The solution to the problems is to realize what is the root cause of all these problems here. Like crazy amount of taxes, regulation. That's why we don't have a manufacturing base anymore. But is this solving that problem? What about homelessness? Does this solve that problem? Or cancer? We could eradicate cancer in 5 years with the policies I put forth through Reform the World. Go on Facebook, look it up. reformtheworld.org. We could eradicate cancer in maybe 5 years, maybe less. All the different types of cancers. We need a Manhattan Project towards the societal problems. Instead of all this wasteful spending on the military-industrial complex, it's ridiculous. It's really ridiculous. And it's really sad because we're all gonna pay for this. We're all gonna pay for this. That's all it is. Alright? That's it. Let's look at some news right now because there's no sense in watching him talk really because they're gonna post all the stuff that he's gonna say anyway. Yeah, Kremlin says Putin has been invited to join Trump's Gaza Board of Peace. See, they're in bed together, my friends. They're in bed together. I hate this crap. Oh, look, you can't. You gotta send them money in order to read a fucking article. Nah, I'm not gonna send you money. Don't they make enough on ads? Russia says it is seeking to clarify all the nuances of offer it claims Washington has made before responding. Kremlin has announced that Vladimir Putin has been invited to join Board of Peace. What Board of Peace? They're still bombing the hell out of Gaza. Now, this is religious extremism. Of course. What about the religious extremism in this country? Aren't they really on the same side of the coin? Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov told journalists on Monday Russia was seeking to clarify. What does that mean? Clarify all this. Shows no signs of ending his war in Ukraine. And that's kind of ironic, huh? So Putin's going to go to the Board of Peace when he's in the middle of invading Ukraine. That is interesting. Hopefully Ukraine could just shoot his freaking plane down. That'd be great. That'd be fantastic. So go, yeah, just go. I didn't think about it. The Russian president has repeatedly rejected proposal of ceasefire. And he's a total idiot. But he has more brains than Trump. You could be a total moron, but he still had more brains than Trump. Because Trump is just like a toddler. Like he didn't even grow up to be a moron yet. He's still infant. He's still an infant, basically. Something happened when he must have got dropped on his head or something. There's no other way to explain it. And you get dropped on your head, and you live with a silver spoon in your mouth all your life. And that might be the secret sauce right there. So the invitation of Putin, which has yet to be confirmed by Washington. I'm surprised they don't know. They're able to even connect a line for Trump. How incompetent they are. This is ridiculous. And then if you think about it, what does the United States have to gain more in Russia and Putin than they do in the EU, who is the largest trading partner of the United States? What do they have? Are they going to give us a $10 trillion trading deal? They have nothing. They have sanctions. They have a bankrupt economy. What is the point? Of course, on the face value, if he actually played three-dimensional chess, which is maybe one-dimensional checkers, yeah, we want to be friends. We want to on this and that, and then behind the scenes, supports Ukraine, send a military technique. You could do that. I mean, that'd be kind of intelligent, actually. But he's not doing that. Look at that face, huh? He's one of the reasons why the current world is where it's at right now. Tony Blair, fucking asshole. That's why I always say, USA exported so much democracy, now I'm going to use quotations, around the world that they lost it here at home. Or losing it, rather. Pretty much lost it. This never was a democracy anyway. We deserve something better anyway. We need people in positions of leadership who are experts and who know what they're doing. Who are going to do the best for us. That's what we deserve. We don't deserve this. Obviously, there's something wrong with the system if we get this guy. or get those two up against each other in the last election. I mean, there's something honestly wrong. And we all know there's something wrong with this country. Could be electoral college, for sure. Could be, but it's a lot of things. It's the education system, which destroys people's brains. Destroys their brains. Makes mush out of their brains. Destroys their whole passion for life and their interests. You know, kids, they go in wanting to build things. Legos, sticks, and all this. And then they come out wanting to destroy Legos, buildings, or whatever the fuck. There's something inherently wrong. You know, we need a lot of change in this country. A lot. We need to foster people's interests so we can, instead of importing engineers from all over the place or whatever, nuclear technologists, why don't we build them here at home? Why don't we encourage the STEM fields? Why don't we allow people to become doctors without so much red tape and debt? Why do you have to become $1 million in debt and spend 10 to 12 years of your life to become a fucking doctor? Why? Before, you were able to go into an apprenticeship and learn firsthand. Why don't we do that anymore? Why do you need so much just to prescribe some fucking aspirin? Ridiculous. So much bullshit. Honestly, it's just bullshit. I'm just gonna speak it right. Surface level bullshit. You know, that's why addiction is so rampant in this country, because people are so depressed of the reality in which we live. Because of the corrupt politicians who are only in it for themselves, who are lining their pockets with insider trading deals, with bribes, with campaign contributions, and then they go to bat for their contributors. They only talk to the people when it comes time to win the election. After the election, you don't hear them coming out to town hall anymore. What am I going to do for you, and shaking hands in a diner? You only hear about that once every couple of years. Okay. If you're making more, if you're an elected representative and you're making more than the people of who you represent, something wrong with that picture. You should at least make middle, the median of what they're making, if not the lowest. And you have way, way better health care than anything in private. Way. They get everything covered. Ain't no denial. You get cancer, ain't no prior approvals. They go right to the dot. They get everything done. Boom. And they could probably pay for it right out of, even though it's so ludicrous the amount of money they charge, they could probably pay the whole thing anyway. That's how much money they come to Congress. They come into Congress, paupers, poor people, and they come out sophisticated multimillionaires. It's something seriously wrong with this country, okay? Seriously. Pathetic. An embarrassment. Honestly. Honestly. Of course it's honestly. Why would I say it otherwise? So who cares? Hey, Putin, go to that border peace. Hope somebody shoots his goddamn plane down, and that'll be it for him. So let's see how that goes. News, you know, you gotta watch. There's a reason why a lot of people think homogenously in this country. Like, you have just a core of morons who are just surprised when you hear about something that Trump did stupidly. They're just surprised because, you know why, right? There's the algorithm. So they go to X or whatever, Facebook. They watch Fox News, Newsmax, and that they don't tell them the news. They spin it the way they want to spin it. That's why I was always projection with Bill O'Reilly. He would say the no spin zone. Meanwhile, he's spinning left and right. However, things were not as just crazy. That was the formative years of where all these morons and mushheads got their education of politics, and now they've grown to term. So now they're able to basically spew out all the bullshit that they've been told all these years. And there's a huge problem. I'm not a two-sider because one side is definitely worse than the other. Republicans are much worse. But Democratic Party is definitely co-opted and owned by the corporations. They're corrupt. That's why I'm not saying either side. Insider trading is running rampant. In Congress, there needs to be this country could have a great network of high-speed rail where we could get from New York to California and so quickly. You know, we could have beautiful infrastructure, beautiful. You know, that people actually come and tourists to come to see. Like, wow, look at this. Look at these sites. Look at the building. Look at this. Nah, you can have all these stroads and roads and ugly bridges all over the place. And car-dependent economy is so inefficient. It wastes so much land. We need people with intelligence. We need experts to coordinate infrastructure campaigns, because this is just disgusting. You ever go out there and you see traffic and you just think and imagine in your mind, like, this is an embarrassment. People come to this country and they think, whoa, America's so great. And then you sit in traffic for 2 hours. Or you see a red light pop up, a fucking red light, when there's nobody out there. There's no cars coming from the left or the right, sideways, just fucking red light. And you're sitting there for fucking 3 minutes. Like, what the fuck is that? Talk about inefficiencies. You can't get more inefficient than that. That is pathetic, honestly. It pisses me off when I say that. You know, we deserve better. That's why I created reformtheworld.org. Look it up on Facebook groups. Because we need to do something about it, you know. We need to do something about the whole fucking thing. And all over the world as well. You know, it's archaic to think in terms of tribes. You know, we are beyond the tribe. Or at least we should be. So, Macron, and, you know, he's the French president. He's probably one of the hardliners on Trump. He's like, we need to show them who's boss. We do prefer to respect respect to bullies. Macron says at Davos. Yeah, we don't give in to bullies. Trump airing Macron's private message was designed to hurt and intimidate. Okay. You know, there's a Supreme Court as well. It's totally... Why do you have appointments made by partisan presidents onto the Supreme Court? Like, that doesn't show that is something that something's going to happen eventually. If you have a Supreme Court judge that comes from and that gets approved by an organization, okay, these are vetted picks that you can pick to choose to go on the Supreme. That is purely corruption, because you're vetting for people who only see things one way, instead of seeing things for what they are and what they should be. and what they can be, forward thinking. You know, what's best for mediation, for, you know, the Constitution, let's say, even though it's just a piece of paper, really. You know, piece of paper doesn't do a lot to prevent the amount of misery we're going to experience. So we need a lot more reform on the Supreme Court. Like, I didn't understand Biden. Like, why not just freaking increase the Supreme Court? Why not? Like, there's so much weakness in the Democratic Party. I'm not a Democrat personally, but, you know, you either have a cult, stupid personality, or you have just weakness in corporate backed, sponsored weakness. That might have a lot to do with it, actually, because the Democratic Party in the 70s and 80s went from being a union backed, union cohesive political party, like the workers. I remember when I was a kid, my grandfather would say, Republicans are for the rich, Democrats are for the poor. And he always was a Democrat supporting guy. He came from Italy. I wish Trump would deport me, please. And that's pretty much how he saw things. But now on the flip side, a lot of people think differently. People think Democrats are just slimy, corporatists, and, you know, pedos or whatever. And then they think Republicans are going to make some great change. Well, they're wrong. They're wrong. But the problem is, when you have bullshit on both sides, and you have no other option, then you just throw your hands up, right? So that empowers that cult, that corruption. That empowers them to continue pounding the Democratic Party. Pounding them. Look how weak they are. They're feckless. They're useless. And there's a lot of it is true. A lot of it is true. So let's look at Macron warns against new colonial approach. They're trying to convince Trump at Davos, the Davos meeting. I don't know where Davos is exactly. Where is Davos? Let's see. I don't know. Where is Davos? All right, let's look on the. Let's go on Gemini. Where is Davos? I'm just curious. I don't want Google Maps, you idiot. It takes you Google Maps in order to freaking figure that out. It's in the canton of Switzerland. Okay, interesting. Wonderful. So, you know, we have a lot of problems here at home. Let's see if we have any new headlines going on here. Spain, blah 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 blah. And then you have that map of AI created map that Trump posted of United States flag. Of course, United States, Canada, Greenland, and then Venezuela on the bottom there. Ridiculous. You know, he's a troll. He's always been a troll. He's been doing this for years. You know, he's been since the 80s. If you look on, let's see here. Wow, they're actually selling trolls of Trump. New York City. How Donald Trump still lives in the 80s. So he used to call up news media, pretending to be his own agent, and he would say good things about himself. And a lot of people were just like, they knew it was him, but okay, you know, And now this guy is the leader of the free world, like leader of the free world. They call it the free world, but there's a lot of things that aren't free in this country. A lot of things that aren't free, and they're more free elsewhere. How do you call it a free country? I want to watch that movie, actually, The Apprentice. I never got to watch it. I might as well. Why not? You know, that's the problem. You put... This is what I was saying. You put a woman against Donald Trump. I mean, in such a pivotal election that means so much. So much can go down in history as fucked. And you choose a woman, okay? There's nothing wrong inherently with a woman being a leader, okay? They could do a great job, okay? However, there's always going to be a percentage of people who are not going to support somebody or president just because it's a woman, just because he's Asian or black or white even. But you're going against a certain percentage. So you're going to have, so let's say Trump has a high floor but a low ceiling, and Kamala Harris might have a low ceiling but a low ceiling but a high floor. No, it's the other way around. Whatever, you get the point. So this is the point I was making. This is the point I was making a couple of years ago, actually. Kamala Harris, or any woman, like what was her, Hillary Clinton, there's a certain percentage, a huge percentage, not majority, but pretty significant, who are just not going to vote for a woman. Doesn't matter. You're going to need some magical woman in order for them to, and some of them, to abandon that viewpoint. And there's a lot of women who are not going to vote for a woman. So why would you put somebody who is so disadvantaged against somebody who we really need to lose? Now, that was stupid. They should have chosen. I mean, I'm not 100% on this guy, but he's what's out there right now. What is that guy? Governor of California, because he's a straight shooter. I'm sure he's corrupt, but he's corrupt in certain ways. Gavin Newsom, should have put him against him, because he's a man, he's a white man, so you take that advantage away from Trump, and then you have a guy who's gonna be a shark and attack, who's much younger, much more energetic. He had a way better chance of winning. Now, why not be strategic about it, you know? Let's not be the inclusive, be inclusive just for the sake of being inclusive. Let's be strategic, okay? Fuck, why not? However, not one person chooses who's going to be the leader of a party. It was her ego. The vice president often gets a shot, potentially. They at least look into it. So, and she took the shot. Even though I watched the video where the election was rigged, where they had phantom districts. They had phantom districts in swing states. But you know what? Instead of being strong and saying I'm going to request a recount. I'm not going to concede. Nah, she just gave up right away. You know, we need to gather behind our new president. Unity and strength. So weak, so pathetic. Okay? Pathetic. Useless. Nah. You want all the cards on your table, bro. You want all the cards. You want to turn over all the cards. So yes, we're going to have a recount. Yes, what are these districts here that don't exist in Florida, North Carolina, Pennsylvania? What are these districts? They don't exist. Dispute. Why the fuck not? What do you have to lose? That's the process. The process is not you just give up right after the finish line. The process is look at what the Republicans did in the other elections in 2000 and in 2020, and every time Trump's fragile ego was damaged, basically. It's never a rigged election when he wins, though. It's always when he doesn't. That should tell you automatically that it's not really. It's about winning. It's not about it's rigged or not. It's about winning. You just got to win more than the other guy, and that gives you a certain advantage up to a point. Especially when you have the Supreme Court stacked. See, if Biden would have did what I said, and he would have freaking added, I don't know how many. I don't have any advisors around to tell me how many you need, what's the optimum amount. But if you would have added to the Supreme Court to make it balanced, let's balance it. Then if those recounts would have went like 2000 to the Supreme Court, you would have had a different outcome. Like they pretty much, from what I've learned and read, and they pretty much took the election away from Al Gore back in 2000 and gave it to Bush. So, you know, you have weakness. You have weakness. You know why? Because the people who get in politics on either side, are weak. They take the bribe. They take corporate backing and donations and you know, basically the corporations write their own laws, regulations. The big corporations, they write the laws, the regulations or whatever, legislation, and they hand it to the congressperson, and that's how it gets through. And then the other people are in the bag as well, so let's have a vote on it. They don't say endorsed by ExxonMobil, they say endorsed by congresswoman, congressman, blah, blah, blah. So it's what's off the page is what really matters. And that's pathetic in this country. And the people have pretty much accepted it. They don't even know about it. They have a feeling, an irkling of it because they want to watch it burn, the society. But they don't know that the same party they support are the corrupt in the middle of it. They aren't in on the corruption. They need to be kicked off out of power. Both sides. Kicked out. Arrested. And they need to become the labor force for the infrastructure of the future. That's what they need. That's what they deserve. To repay society for all the damage they have done. Because it's so much damage. So much opportunity caused. We could have eradicated homelessness. We could eradicate cancer. We could eradicate poverty. Abject poverty. And that's all possible. We could have eradicated even the corrupt loopholed income tax system that we have here, where everyone suffers except the richest among us. The middle class is the backbone that pays for everything, and by pay for everything, just means contribute a certain amount to the national debt, because there hasn't been a balanced budget in decades. Okay, ever since 9/11, the United States has walked off a financial cliff, and that's why I say it's pathetic. That's why. You know, just for no reason. It's not for no reason. Let me see here. It's crazy. You have to have news from the right, news from the left. Look at this. Isn't that unbelievable? Why can't you just have news? Let's get rid of this corporate media biasness, fake news garbage, and let's just go back to news. When media learns of something, fucking report it the way it is in its entirety. You don't do that, then you're an enemy of the state. Simple as that, really. Simple. Why is it so complicated? If you withhold knowledge from the public, no, worse, I mean, it could be some kind of security thing. You wrap it around and wrangle it up to fit your intended message, so you can create propaganda, then you're an enemy of the state. That's just the way it is. And you need to be dealt with. You need to be dealt with. Because you are harming society. A huge pillar of society relies on openness and trust in media and news and consumption. And when you destroy that trust, you're basically destroying the country. And that's why we are in the state we are in. You know, I have a whole philosophy on life. I don't want to brag or anything, but look at the food we eat. Look at the education they give us. I'm a victim of it. I'm a victim too. It's all garbage. Hyper processed, cheap as possible fucking poison. And that's what they feed us. And that's what we pay optimal prices for, premium prices for, actually. Because, you know, you're going to pay a lot more for chicken nuggets, okay, a bag of chicken nuggets, than you will for the equivalent amount of chicken that's in there. So we're actually paying for our own poison. We're paying a premium for it. Like, yeah, this is it, you know. And then you use tons of antibiotics in the animal feed, and on the animals. So why? So we can run out of antibiotics, so we can have resistant strains of bacteria who are just going to destroy us. It's unbelievable how we just tolerate this. It's unbelievable. So I'm looking. I don't know if I want to look for that video. Let me go back on YouTube again, because this is just. Let us see here. Let us see. Police warning about. It might even. I wonder if my frame is being. Let me see here. Police warning about. Wait. I thought. What the hell is this? So I was never revealing my screen? Wait. What is going on here? They knew it was him, but okay, you know. Let me set this out real quick. And now this guy is